She's Katy Montgomery. He's Justin Joseph. These best friends are serving subpoenas to bad advice weekly with Wrong Way Forward. Now, here's Katy and Justin.
Hi, welcome to Wrong Way Forward, the podcast where we roast the worst advice. My name is Katy Montgomery. I am here with my best friend, Justin Joseph, but I'm also here with my sister, Ann Elizabeth Montgomery. Ann Elizabeth is talking to us from Birmingham, Alabama. So welcome, Annie.
Welcome, Annie.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
So this is your first appearance on Wrong Way Forward. I'm excited about this.
I know.
And I feel like
we have referenced her.
We have referenced her, and I feel like we could use a lot of material with her.
I feel like you probably could.
And Ann Elizabeth has also, as I've known Justin for 34 years, so has Ann Elizabeth. So Ann Elizabeth would come to our college parties. We've spent time with him in Denver. We've spent time with him in Singapore and Thailand. So they are also good friends. So we've got a lot of history among the three of us.
And we've sort of matured through life together, if you will.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far. Which, Ann Elizabeth, I think we're always doing a call out from our viewers and our listeners to say, what is the wrong way forward? Please share with us. And so we had kind of made our plea, and Ann Elizabeth goes, I've got one for you. And I said, well, we've got to bring her on. And so together, I think we're going to have a few instances of what I kind of call exercise culture and poor etiquette when trying to be healthy. I mean, you're trying to take care of yourself, and these assholes are coming along, really kind of crimping it and messing it up. So, Ann Elizabeth, if you could kind of first, set the scene of, kind of some wrong way forward behavior.
Okay. So there is a yoga class that I go to sometimes, maybe not anymore, on Sundays. And it's a slow flow. And so you're supposed to go, it's heated. You basically lie around and stretch for an hour and 15 minutes. So.
And when you say slow flow, what does that mean?
Slow flow, it turns out it's not a flow. Like, you're not flowing. You're just lying around. You're mostly just, twisting. So you show up. And so usually with other instructors at this studio I go to that I really enjoy, you walk in, he says, hello, Ann Elizabeth. You go and sit down. It starts exactly on time. Everyone's quiet. It's very calm. It's lovely. It's part of the reason you're there is to sort of quiet your nervous system. Well, this one, it's Sunday morning, which is a lazy time. You walk in and it takes forever for the person to find you on the thing, but that's okay. Then you go and you lie down. It starts at 10:30 and then it's 10:35 and I don't have a watch, but there's a clock and I put on my glasses and I'm like, okay, we're already 5 minutes late.
And Ann Elizabeth, let me interrupt. Where's your nervous system about right now?
Right now?
No, at 10:35. At 10:35, where's your nerve? You're supposed to be calming your nervous system.
Here, I mean, it's like it's moving up. I'm starting to get. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm making eyes at people next to me who are strangers. I'm making eyes at my friend who I go with. I'm wanting to get up and leave. So people are like, then people do this bullshit where they walk in and they're like, do you know what I mean? Like, let me find a spot. And instead of just going and sitting down and finding a spot. And so then I start to go, y'all scoot and then they can get here. And then I'm like, why won't anyone move? Or why?
So now you're being helpful.
And then
we're trying to.
I don't know if I'm being helpful.
You're being bossy, and sometimes we call that bitchy bossy.
Yes, I'm being bossy, and I'm also looking at the lady next to me, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I'm getting her worked up, right? And then, so people are late. They act like assholes as they're walking in late. They don't just go and find a space and sit down. And then other people are like, I want to lay next to my friend. You don't talk, right? So then other people aren't moving to sort of facilitate this. So the next thing you know, it's 10:40. I'm real worked up. And the instructor is real chaotic about it. And she really could just lock the door because there's a sign on the door that says, hey, you're late. late. The door's locked. Come back next time, right?
100%.
Preserve everyone's, I don't know,
tranquility.
Yes.
So I have questions. Number one, do you pay to go to this gym or to the yoga class?
Pay. Yes.
Okay, so that's a huge deal. What was the other question I had? That was the main question, I think, was that. So
well, I think for me, Justin, it's like, first of all, if when I heard the story, I was just breaking down how much wrong way forward was happening.
Right.
There was a wrong way forward on behalf of the organization, of the company, right? Mm-hmm. Not maintaining the policy, and not maintaining the contract they made with their members. I'm sure when you signed up for a 10-pack package, it said you need to show up on time or,
sure,
you won't be eligible to attend. Number one. Number two, it's the wrong way forward on behalf of the instructor. She's not being a strong facilitator and saying the intent of this program is to create a Zen atmosphere and to relax your nervous system. This is doing the opposite. It's the wrong way forward of all these adults. And I'm seeing this. How many adults just cannot get to places on time? It's absolutely ridiculous.
Oh,
and this is usually, me too. And usually exercise is something that is a routine, right? This is not something where it's like you got called in for a last minute meeting, right? So that's the wrong way forward. And then Ann Elizabeth's acting the wrong way forward because she is investing. She is getting so worked up in it that she hasn't set a boundary. And so she's starting to ruin her experience. So I'm counting 4 wrong way forwards on this.
Well, I totally agree. I also, I think the fact that, and I'm trying to think about giving them the benefit of the doubt. Was their childcare late, something like that? But this is an ongoing thing.
It's every time I go. And so it's just sort of like professional conferences. Like I'll go one time and I'm like, oof, not doing that again. But then I forget. And so then I go. and so normally I would go to this class every Sunday that I'm home. I can't go 2 weeks in a row because it's too fresh by the time the next Sunday comes along. And I'm like, that's just going to get me going.
Well, and let's talk about it. Every time you talk about it, your nervous system gets wrecked because you get worked up again with the injustice of it.
The injustice of it. And I think if you are running late, it's one thing if you're running late to something that has a set start and it's a group thing, once you're past 3 minutes, maybe don't go.
Yeah, I even think 3 minutes. I think if you miss the start time, you miss the start time. I mean, especially in a class like that.
So, but what would your advice be, Justin, to Ann Elizabeth? I mean, she is a consumer. She is paying for a product and the product is not delivering. I mean, what would you do in this situation? Would you say something to the owner? Would you say something to the facilitator? What would you do?
Well, this is interesting to me because I know you, Ann Elizabeth, and I know you to be not confrontational, but you have no problem stating your case. Why have you not said something to the owner? Are you worried that then you're going to be uncomfortable with her? Or
I don't think so she's not the owner. The owner's wonderful. She's lovely, but she's not the owner. I think she must know that it's a mess because she'll kind of apologize. And I sort of hate that also.
Yeah.
Because you can't keep doing that. And I'll be frank, I guess I don't care enough. I just won't go.
Yeah. And if this is the class you like, you don't want to make it weird for yourself, and saying something would make it weird.
Right.
I think it's a weighing of the balances. Like, is it worth saying something, but is that going to impact your future experience? And if it is going to impact your future experience, then it may not be worth saying something. I mean, I guess for me, having not been in that situation, it would be a question of, because I have made myself uncomfortable plenty of times by saying something and I still have to go back. And in fact, I'm in that situation right now because, I'm doing a flip for a house and I kept going over to the house and the painters I hired a contractor. His mom is the project manager and she is lovely. And she's been there every day, busting her ass. She's there till 10 o'clock at night. But I went over the last 2 months and there weren't people at the house working besides her. So the first time I was nice, like, oh, there's nobody over here. And she's like, oh, they come at night. I'm like, okay. Well, in my head, I'm thinking, well, we're not a priority. So by the third time I said, there need to be people here working. And then I came back the next week and now we're 3 weeks away from launching and there still weren't people there. And so I lost my mind to her. And then her son got involved and now he doesn't speak to me. So now we're 2 days away from launching. I'm on site. I've said something that's uncomfortable and now I'm uncomfortable being there because I've been so mean.
Right.
So I've been there, but my problem is I can't control myself. Like what you talked about, you're uncomfortable. I just word vomit.
Well, and my reaction to that is Anne Elizabeth has pretty fantastic control. Unless there's alcoholic beverages involved, Anne Elizabeth has the most perfect control. Like, okay. I mean, Anne Elizabeth's always worried about what I'm going to say and how I might lose it or how I might say something. I think Anne Elizabeth's default is to not say something. And I think, and my advice to her would be like, I think this is a situation where she is completely entitled. It's data-based, it's fairness, it's, receiving the product that she's paying for. I think this would be a time when it would make sense. And I think it's interesting that she's like, I just don't care enough. My push on Anne Elizabeth would be like, you clearly care. You talk about it a lot. It lingers. It stays with it. It really kind of bothers you. I think you don't want to say something because of the discomfort. And so you're avoiding saying something. So I think it would be.
And I would ask the Dr. Phil question. Sorry, go ahead, Katie.
Yeah, go ahead. What's the Dr. Phil question?
The Dr. Phil question is, how's that working for you? Right?
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you what I'm
not to bring Dr. Phil in.
Yeah, but what I'm thinking about another solution is to take that ridiculous, messy first 10 minutes of class and practice mindfulness.
Yes.
Right?
Oh,
lie down on my mat and just observe without feeling. There's also that, because we can't control everything out there, so we have to kind of learn how to control. I think in this situation, there is some input that can be offered, but I think
that's so interesting.
It's also learning to control your response.
Yes.
So we have three responses. Mine is to breathe fire. Katie's is to make it a measured approach, and Anne Elizabeth's is to take the moment as a learning opportunity. And I think she's right.
She is.
I would have trouble doing that.
It's a matter of
we know this, Justin. But Anne Elizabeth's career is learning. She learns every day.
But I think she's right.
She's way more intellectual than us.
But I think she's right. If you're in a class that the point is to mindfulness and then you take that as a teaching opportunity, I think that's really smart. This is why we're not professional advice givers. And we say that every show.
It's always like, how do you feel? Don't judge. Just notice.
I think
so. I think what we should do now, Justin, is take a break because we're going to come back and talk about another exercise situation that was based on a Pilates class. 5 reformers, very small, intimate setting. And maybe how I reacted afterwards, was that appropriate or not, and kind of what Anne Elizabeth and I did in that class. So let's take a break, and then on the other side, we'll bring up another exercise etiquette issue. You've been listening to Wrong Way Forward, where bad advice goes to die and then gets resurrected just so we can roast it again.
If you're enjoying the chaos, hit like and subscribe and come back every Thursday for new episodes.
Have a new topic or some disastrously bad advice you want to dissect? Email wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. Include your contact info.
Now back to Wrong Way Forward.
Roasting the worst advice ever. Welcome back to the Katy and Justin podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode of Wrong Way Forward. You know, it's something we've talked about before on the podcast, gym etiquette. But as we've talked to you about in our launch of this season, we're trying to bring more live guests in to kind of make the experiences more relatable, more real. This week, Katie's sister, Anne Elizabeth, is joining us talking about her own experience recently at her yoga studio where people are arriving late. Now we've got another experience that Katie and Anne Elizabeth have been through. And Katie, tell us what happened.
Well, I want Anne Elizabeth to kind of, fill in the facts, but we were in a Pilates class, reformer, and there's only 5 reformers. So there's only 5 participants, 1 facilitator.
And a reformer is, I don't know anything about Pilates. Is that machine that you slide on?
It's the machine that you slide on. And the facilitator really is an active facilitator. I mean, like, you are moving on and off, you're bringing in different kind of tools and resources. And I mean, you have to be able to hear that person. And some of it's sometimes complex trying to explain someone, put your knee here, put your leg there, grab this strap. And so mentally you can't see it. So you really have to be able to hear the person and hear the description. And so first of all, 3 of us were there on time. We were on the reformer ready. A 4th person comes in, is probably 2 or 3 minutes late. And Anne Elizabeth says to me, she happens to be an instructor here. So she was an instructor sitting in a class. So already in my head was, well, you're extra bad because you extra know better, right? So you're a super asshole. And then this woman comes in about 10 minutes late and just is talking, making excuses, talking to the entire group. And then she goes down on the reformer, and the two of them have a full-fledged conversation.
Oh, no.
And it wasn't about what was happening in that moment either. I heard them, they were talking about James Spann, who's our weatherman, and how the lady was out of town last weekend and what the weather was like.
Yeah, no.
And I hear wedding. I hear she washed a lot of beach towels. I mean, I'm hearing.
And you can't work out while this is happening?
Well, and the instructor is this younger woman who is lovely and doing a great job, but it just doesn't have sort of the confidence or the sort of agency to be like, y'all, be quiet. And so she's kind of standing around the three of us who are participating.
And then it was.
So how long does this take?
I mean, it's throughout the entire class, which was 45 minutes. And I would say they were actively conversing 38 of the 45.
Yeah. And the whole time in my head, I'm like, I just wanted to yell out, y'all. But I didn't.
And so.
And is she the instructor, the owner, or both, or what?
No, she's just an instructor, and she's young. And I think for me, what was happening was not just, this is not the way I expected the class, but I was spending so much and focusing so much on my energy that, like, who the fuck do you think you are? If you are that entitled that you think that you can do this. And so again, it hit my kind of value system of, we are a community, there are community standards and norms by which we operate, like, how dare you think that this is okay? And so again, I spent a lot of my mental energy, on that kind of space. But here's the actual caveat to this too. This is in an area called Mountain Brook. It is a very small, privileged, people know each other. But, remember, I'm from DC. I'm a guest in my sister's home. So I don't know any of these people, but everybody, they're either kids know each other, or their parents grew up together, or they live in the same neighborhood, or they shop at the same grocery store. I mean, it's very, it's like, I think people let a lot of things slide because they all operate in this kind of ecosystem. And I think
that explains a lot, and that's a tough one to overcome.
Yeah. So Anne Elizabeth, we talked, both Anne Elizabeth and I are talking to the instructor afterwards, and I'm like, that was tough. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. And so then Anne Elizabeth leaves, I'm putting on my.
Go in there and just one little piece. The one instructor who was taking the class, the one who came in 3 minutes late, who talked a lot. I've been to her class a couple times and will never, ever go again. And this is months ago. If the only person who's teaching on that day is Sally, I'll just never go again. So I knew how she was, you know.
And part of me is like, if I was a business owner, I would want to know that one of my employees was doing this in class. Like when you're a manager, you don't know what you don't know. When you're a leader, if people don't tell you, you don't know that. And again, it's not my business, but if it was my business, I would want to know that there's a particular instructor who holds class this way. I would be like, that's not the standard that we have at this place. So that's the first thing. But when we're leaving, Anne Elizabeth leaves, I'm putting on my shoes, I'm planning to walk home, getting all my stuff together. And I said, thank you so much to the instructor. You are fantastic. And the woman who came in late, who was the big chatter, she goes, isn't she the best? And I said, well, she is. And you're just a real chit chatter. And she looked at me and said, oh my gosh, I know. I'm just out of my mind. I had a wedding this weekend. I'm just not all together. I am sorry if I ruined your experience. And I said, well, you talk a lot, and she's too sweet to tell you that.
So you did confront it.
And I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have brought in, I feel really guilty about bringing in this sweet, young, great Pilates instructor, because that probably made her feel uncomfortable. And she goes, well, I'm just sorry again. And I went, well, that's fine. And I just walked out. And so my question is, I think I just couldn't help myself.
Well, that's how I am.
Was that the wrong way forward? Should I have just been like, you don't live here. This is a one-off. Don't say
Well,
anything.
the question is it passive? It borders right on passive aggressive, doesn't it? Like, as opposed to just saying, I just need to tell you that I think you impacted the experience by talking too much. Was it a little passive aggressive?
Well, and I'll tell you, at one point in the class, Katy also looked at me and went,
That's aggressive.
And that was actually in a time when another lady was talking because her reformer was messed up. But I think Katy had gotten to the point where she's like, if anybody makes any noise.
It's true. It's true. It's like I was on the spectrum, and if I heard one thing, I was going to go berserk.
Well, I want to welcome you all to the dark side for taking this on. It really does make you feel better. Have you been back?
I mean, I'll go back. We're going back on Saturday.
Have you been back?
Pilates.
So I want to know how that experience is when you go back after you told them they talk too much.
Well, I mean, we'll see if she's there, but it's like, it's this point of privilege that just kind of ticks me off. But, do you think, Anne Elizabeth, in retrospect, I mean, you weren't there, you didn't hear the comment. You would have never done that. Do you think that was too much? This is when you would have been like, just keep it to yourself, Katy?
I think if I would have said anything, it probably would have been to the instructor separately and been like, that was inappropriate, and I know that's uncomfortable for you.
Yeah.
Just to kind of try to increase her agency and being able to like, hey, everyone.
Yeah.
I will say it how you handle it, Katy, is a nice way of saying, I mean, it's a little passive aggressive, but it also was it diffused the situation. It handled the situation without being too aggressive. So,
yep. So, let's just hope that I don't burn down Anne Elizabeth's entire social network.
Anne Elizabeth's just going to gain weight because you're ruining all of her workout places. Anyway. So, well Anne Elizabeth, go ahead. It's great Justin. To see you.
Good to see you.
And like I said, just keep coming back on. Tell us more stories. I'm sure in Birmingham, there are all sorts of fantastic stories about people being tacky.
Oh yeah. I'm sure we'll pick up some later today. I have like 3 separate opportunities to pick up some good ones. So,
well, thanks for joining us, Annie. We appreciate it.
All right, bye, y'all.
Bye.
We'll be right back on Wrong Way Forward.
Thanks for streaming Wrong Way Forward, the weekly reminder that advice is usually free for a reason. We call out bad advice wherever it hides: boardrooms, break rooms, and even book clubs.
Enjoying this dumpster fire? Like, subscribe, and check back every Thursday for new episodes. Want us to roast your favorite piece of nonsense? Email us at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. Be sure to include your contact info. We're not psychic, just judgmental. And now, back to Wrong Way Forward.
Roasting the worst advice ever. Welcome back to the Katy and Justin.
Hi, and we're back with Wrong Way Forward. And today we've been talking about those people who drive us crazy when we're trying to take care of ourselves. These are people who are late to yoga classes. They talk incessantly in Pilates. And just for this last block, I'm going to give one more kind of experience. When I'm in DC, I work at a gym called Equinox, and it is considered a no cell phone area. And I really take that very seriously because before I start working out with my trainer, I go on the treadmill and I listen to books. And there's a lot of sound. They've got TVs on. There's people, dropping weights. You're hearing the buzz of the treadmills. There's a lot of kind of ambient sound, and I'm trying to listen to my book. And there is one particular man. Now, I want to tell you, I've never seen a woman do this. I've only seen men in the gym. So I don't know what's up there and why there's a trend, but they talk on their cell phone. So they're like on the treadmill and they're having a full conversation. Yeah. And so you give them a look. And there was one man that I said, "Excuse me, sir, it's a no, phone policy. Do you mind putting your phone away?" So good, not passive aggressive, very kind of direct.
Yep.
And so what he does is he kind of starts talking like this, like kind of out of the side of his mouth. And I'm like, "You idiot. I'm on to you." And then again, I become obsessed with it. But finally, I said something to my trainer, and there are a handful of trainers who are out to get this guy because he tries to be so sneaky. But he has been told numerous times there are placards around the gym that say no cell phones, and he continues to have full out conversations. I think he's actually doing work calls while he's at the gym.
Oh, for sure.
And the thing about it is he's been told multiple times, and the gall of this guy, the nerve of this guy is that he continues to come and keep thinking he can do it. What I think is interesting is in these businesses, and I'm wondering if what the motivator is that they don't want to say you're out, because all of these businesses are trying to grow their memberships.
Yep.
They're trying to maintain, they're in this competitive world, and they don't want to lose 1, 2, or 3. And so I'm like, where do these businesses, what is the balance between keeping the people? And the thing that ticks me off is I pay for training, I pay for a monthly fee.
Right.
And when I'm in town, I do Pilates classes. The value I bring versus this guy who just uses the gym is completely different. Who do you want to lose in the end? Right. And so I'm just wondering, it's the wrong way forward of like, where's the real consequence? Because let me tell you something, if this guy's been told 3 times and 3 times he's come back and keeps doing it, he clearly doesn't take the admonishment seriously. So
100%.
What are the real consequences here?
Well, I think that, and I think the lesson from all 3 of these different experiences is that these businesses need to do a better job of policing behavior, right?
Yes.
That's really been the overarching theme, and maybe they don't know about it, but in at least 2 of the cases they should. And it's their job to go out there, and if you're going to have a policy, it's your job to enforce it. That means verbal warning first, written warning second,
Yes.
third warning, you're out.
And here's the thing that businesses aren't doing. They might have that policy, but they're not training people to have difficult conversations.
Sure.
And a personal trainer is not trained for those conversations. A 24-year-old Pilates instructor has not been trained. Like Anne Elizabeth said, does not have that agency. So it's not just the policy and enforcing it, but you've got to teach the people who are in that space how to have those highly awkward, uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah, or just have the manager do it. Don't put a 24-year-old in that position. It's always the manager's job, but the manager needs to be made aware of it and do it. And when I think more about it is if I was a business owner and I knew there was a podcast like we are talking about my business, I would be mortified. And yeah, and especially with all of our millions of listeners.
Exactly. And so with that being said, for our listeners, thank you again for joining us today. We would love to hear from you. If you have a wrong way forward example, you can email us at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. You can also engage with us on all of our social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So we'd love to hear from you. And with that, hopefully you can be well and also not be annoyed while doing so.
All right, bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
All right, that's a wrap on this week's episode of Wrong Way Forward. Remember, the only thing worse than taking bad advice is giving it.
If you've liked what you've heard, like, subscribe, or follow us wherever you stream podcasts. And if you've got a topic or need some advice we'll probably regret giving, email us at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Wrong Way Forward.